So, for almost 3 decades, Java has been this absolute giant in the software world, a real titan. But the ground is totally shifting under its feet. So today, we're going to dig into how Java is being forced to adapt to this new, radically different, cloud-native landscape.
I mean, for decades, Java and its powerhouse of a virtual machine, the JVM, they were the undisputed kings of enterprise development, no question. But then, the cloud came along, and with it, microservices and serverless computing, and suddenly, the whole playbook got thrown out the window. And hey, to be fair, Java has been evolving. I mean, look at this timeline. You can see this steady stream of long-term support releases, always pushing to add new features, always trying to improve performance. But here's the thing. The changes happening outside of Java, they've been way, way more dramatic. So yeah, that brings us to the big question, right? How is the world's most established programming language fighting back? Well, the answer is really interesting. It's actually unfolding along two completely different and kind of competing paths.
Okay, so here's the real challenge, the heart of the problem. In the cloud, you pay for what you use, every second, every megabyte. And the good old JVM, while it's an absolute marvel of engineering, it can be pretty slow to start up. And it's a memory hog. For modern microservices that need to pop into existence and then disappear in an instant, that's not just inefficient, it's a total deal breaker.
All right, so let's check out the first answer to this challenge. It's all about evolving from within. Java's strategy here is to make the core language better, faster, and more efficient, and Java 21 is leading the charge.
And the absolute star of the show in Java 21? Oh, it's definitely virtual threads. Seriously, this isn't just some small tweak. It's a complete reimagining of how Java handles concurrency. It's a game changer designed for exactly the kind of tasks, like waiting for a database or network call, that pretty much dominate modern web apps.
So let's break this down. The difference is just huge. The old way, every single Java thread was a heavyweight operating system thread. Think of it like needing a whole delivery truck for every single package. But now, with virtual threads, the JVM manages this whole swarm of super lightweight threads. It lets just a few OS carrier threads, our trucks, handle a massive number of tasks. It's just way more efficient.
So what does this actually mean for developers? Well, the crucial point is this. You get to write simple, easy-to-read code, the kind of code that looks like one request gets one thread. But behind the scenes, the JVM is making it scale like crazy. It's goodbye to all that complex, brain-twisting asynchronous code just to get good performance.
And it's not all just about raw performance. Java 21 is also really focused on the developer experience, making our lives easier. Take pattern matching for switch statements. It lets you replace those old, clunky, endless if-else chains with something that's way cleaner, way more readable, and a lot harder to mess up.
And we see that same idea with Java records. I mean, look at this. What used to take dozens of lines of just tedious boilerplate code for a simple data class, all those getters, setters, equals methods, well, now it's just one single clean line. That's it. Done. Okay, but what about that other path we mentioned? Let's get into this second solution, which is way more radical. This is the native revolution. We're not talking about evolving the JVM anymore. We're talking about getting rid of it entirely. And the key piece of tech making this happen is GraalVM native image. So what is it? Well, it's an ahead-of-time, or AOT, compiler. Instead of compiling code on the fly like the traditional JVM does, it analyzes all of your code when you build your application. And then it spits out a single, standalone native executable, just like you'd get from a language like Go or Rust. No JVM required to run it. And the difference in performance? Honestly, it's not just dramatic, it's kind of mind-blowing. We are not talking about a little 10 or 20% improvement here. We're talking about startup times going from seconds down to milliseconds. And memory usage? It just plummets. For anything cloud native, this is an absolute game changer.
Yeah, you're seeing that right. A 90% reduction in memory consumption. Just stop and think about what that really means for a second. For serverless functions, for tiny microservices packed into a container, this suddenly makes Java fiercely competitive in places where, honestly, it was pretty much a no-go before because it was just too heavy.
And of course, these incredible performance gains translate directly into real-world business benefits. We're talking lower cloud bills because you're using less memory and less CPU. We're talking faster scaling because your apps can start in milliseconds to handle a sudden traffic spike. And it's even great for things like IoT and edge devices. You also get simpler deployments and a smaller, more secure attack surface. It's a whole list of wins.
So this new native path sounds amazing, right? It's incredibly compelling. But it has a really formidable opponent, an opponent that's been around for over 2 decades, the existing, massive, battle-tested Java ecosystem.
Which brings us to our next section, the power of the ecosystem. This is the big counterpoint. It's all about why the battle-tested world of Spring Boot still absolutely dominates the landscape.
You have to understand, for so many companies out there, Spring Boot isn't just a framework, it's the framework. It's the foundation of their entire development practice. It's the standard. It's the default. It's just what you do when you're building with Java. And here's the argument, right? For a lot of businesses, things like having a massive community to ask questions, a huge talent pool to hire from, and libraries like Spring Security that are absolutely battle-tested, well, those things are just way more important than shaving a few hundred milliseconds off your startup time. It's a classic case where reliability and developer productivity can easily trump raw performance. But here's the crucial twist. The Spring ecosystem isn't just sitting back and watching this happen. Nope. With projects like Spring Native, it's actively embracing GraalVM's AOT compilation. The goal? To bring all those awesome native performance benefits to the Spring Boot ecosystem. They're basically trying to give you the best of both worlds.
So, where does all this leave us? It's time for us to figure out how to choose Java's next act. Because what's clear is that the future of Java isn't going to be a one-size-fits-all solution. And this, right here, is probably the most important takeaway from all of this. Java isn't dying, not by a long shot. What's happening is that it's diversifying. It's branching out. So now you've got these 2 powerful futures for Java. On one side, you have the evolved JVM, supercharged with things like virtual threads. This is perfect for your existing monoliths, your really complex systems, anywhere you need maximum throughput and can lean on that incredible ecosystem. Its weakness? Slower startup, more memory. Then, on the other side, you've got the native-first world with GraalVM. This is tailor-made for microservices, serverless functions, anything that needs to scale fast. Its strengths are blistering startup speed and a tiny memory footprint. The trade-off? Well, it's a newer ecosystem and the build process can be more complex. So the future of Java is looking native, it's efficient, and it's definitely diverse. And that leaves us with a big question. Not for me, but for you. This shift means the critical decision for developers and architects isn't just if you're going to use Java anymore. The real question is how. You've got a real strategic choice to make now depending on exactly what you're building. So, are you ready to choose?